Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, episode 84. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined as always by Fox Sports Las Vegas and the Golden Knights post-game show, Chris Chapman. This episode, like all others, is brought to you by the Las Vegas Advisor, www.lasvegasadvisor.com, your home for everything Las Vegas. If you need to know where to go to eat, go to the Las Vegas Advisor. Where to drink, where to gamble, where to look at naked girls. All those things are available to you at the Las Vegas Advisor, www.lasvegasadvisor.com. And by my good friend, Dr. John Pierce at Ageless Forever. You may look at me now and say, holy shit, he must have lost a lot of weight. Well, yes, he did. He's down 109 pounds as of this recording. And all of that is because of Dr. John Pierce at Ageless Forever managing my health and my health care. Phone number at the office, 702-838-1994. If you call the office to make an appointment, your first consultation is free. I highly recommend it. Look at the new skinny me. If it can work for my lazy, unmotivated fat ass, it can work for you. And Chapman, go ahead.
Yeah, Joe Riccio over at Marathon Law Group. Look, he's my lawyer. I highly recommend him. Phone number at Marathon, 702-522-1808. And of course, our golden giveaway is courtesy of Marathon Law Group and Joe Boris. They are giving away tickets, which we are actually giving away. I have the tickets in my possession for the Carolina Hurricane game, which takes place on November the 11th. It's a Monday. And I found out it just got better because on top of them getting a free dinner with you at Metro Pizza, I just found out that we are giving away parking for that as well. So you have a complimentary night out, basically. Take your wife, your child, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever. Yeah. You take them to the game, you get a free dinner out of it, and you don't have to pay for parking. So you look like a big baller when you roll into that arena against William Carrier and the Carolina Hurricanes on the 11th of November. That's a Monday night, like I said. So that's courtesy of Marathon Law Group. And it just dawned on me, and I'd have to check the calendar, that might be Veterans Day. So you may be off from work or school on that day. So you really get a good day out of that if you know you're just looking for something to do on that particular day.
And you have dinner with a veteran of the United States Navy.
Even better. Yeah. My father was a Navy man. You're a Navy guy. So, that's awesome.
And for all of our fans out there, go ahead and look at all the other podcasts that have to do with the Golden Knights and let us know if you find anybody that's giving away tickets and parking and dinner. And if you find somebody, go ahead and let us know.
They're not bullshit tickets either. They're good fucking tickets. Or Section 4, right there at the face-off dot where the Golden Knights shoot once. So
twice, right?
It's cool. I mean, you get to see whoever's in net for 2 periods. So that's pretty cool.
So we've just spent the first 3 minutes plugging stuff. Now it's time to get on to the episode. Chris, when you were a young, spry, little baby kid Chapman, did you ever play on a Teeter Totter?
Yes. That's the fucking up and down thing, right?
Yeah. And
we
that
used to cherry bomb people on that.
That up and down thing, I think that's probably a pretty good analogy for the first 7 games of the Golden Knights season. They opened up with a dominant win over the Colorado Avalanche. They beat a good St. Louis Blues team. They waded through the duck muck and beat Anaheim, and we all had high hopes that the road trip was really going to be something, at least a 500 road trip, 3 points out of 6. Well, that didn't exactly happen. They were 0-2-1 on the road trip. They managed to eke out a point on the last game of the trip against the Florida Panthers. They shit the bed against Washington. They played better against Tampa. I don't want to go too deep into it, but what do you think went wrong for that little 3-game block? And let's be brief about it and see if we can sort of transition it into last night's game against the Kings.
Well, I think the Washington game is a one-off because I think it's your first road game of the season. You travel across the country. I think maybe a little bit of rust. because you're still getting into things, and it's the first time you're away from home. So they never really found their game against Washington. But I think the other two games, the thing that stood out to me was just closing the game out. I mean, they should have gotten at least a point against Tampa. They gave up a goofy, kind of wonky goal there at the end to lose the game, or for, I should say, for Tampa to win the game. But they deserved a point there. They should have gotten that to overtime, and they should have won the Florida game. So, yeah, you came away with 1 point. But Eddie, if you look at the way they played I thought the Tampa game was their best of the road trip, and they deserved 2 points in that one. They were the better team. I thought they probably should have won. I didn't like the second goal they gave up there at the end of the first period, but they should have won. They should have gotten at least a point. And then you look at the Florida game; they were in position to win that one as well. And they blew a third period lead, but closing out the game, I think, was something that was an emphasis going into the season. And 2 of the 3 road games that they've played, they had a difficult time closing it out. But I don't think they played particularly bad in either of those games in Florida. I think sometimes you just have some bad luck. And I think the word that I would use to describe it is frustrating. It was a frustrating road trip because they should have done better than they did. And I'm not one of those big woulda, coulda, shoulda. Look, you either get the points or you don't. But when you watch the games, especially the Tampa and the Florida game, they probably deserved points in both of those games. And they only got 1 point out of both of them. So, it's now milk. What are they? Water under the bridge. You can't go back and change it. You just focus on what's ahead. And I thought they did a good job of that last night.
I think frustrating is a really good word for that. And I think it's a good word because Bruce Cassidy, 6 games into the season, I don't want to call it an epiphany, but the realization is this year's iteration of the Vegas Golden Knights is not nearly as good as last year's when it comes to breaking out the puck from their own zone up the wall. And they've made a significant change to address that. Instead of the hard blind rim arounds where the winger would come down deeper and the center would break through and be the pass opportunity, they've changed that now. They're going to, until the youngsters and the wingers get more acclimated to Bruce's system, I feel like there's going to be a lot more banking the puck out of the glass and getting it out of the zone and chipping the puck. And there's going to be a lot more sort of anticipatory clearing to avoid long stretches defending in your own zone. And I think it's not unreasonable that he makes that change. Listen, they lost Jonathan Marchessault. They lost Michael Amadio. They lost William Carrier. Key people who were noticeably strong on the wall. And making that change this early on just shows you how incredibly Bruce is attuned to what's going on every single second on the ice. And it may not be as pretty. They may not be able to, boat race teams the way that they did, but by clearing the puck out of their zone, they're minimizing the amount of time and the amount of extended pressure that's put on the defense, but put on the team in the D zone and the goalie and everyone else. And I think that I'm okay with it, and that sort of transitions into, okay, 3 wins at home, 0-2-1. The Los Angeles Kings come to town last night, the last of a 7-game road trip, which was actually longer if you think about it, because they played their entire exhibition schedule away from the crypto because they were doing some renovations. But the Vegas Golden Knights put on a vintage performance, in my opinion. Aside from the score, everything clicked. The power play, 2 for 2. The PK, basically a 6-minute power play kill. Ilya Samsonov, well, let's just say he might be making a case to be the number 1 goalie. I think that he had 45 or 46 saves against Florida, gave up 3. He had 32 last night, gave up 1, so that's 4 on 87 shots. something like that. That's pretty stout. He's been exactly what the Golden Knights hoped he would be. So let's pivot and talk about last night's game, and then we'll talk about sort of the homestand overarching. What were your takeaways from last night?
I'm glad you mentioned Samsonov because in a night where Tomas Hertl had 4 points and Mark Stone had a couple points and Alexander Holtz got a goal and Pavel Dorofeyev had a couple points, I thought Samsonov was their best player, which is saying something. He made some huge saves when he needed to, especially there was a stretch where the Golden Knights were on a 6-minute basically penalty kill because they were on a power or on the kill. And then towards the end of that kill, Nick Hague takes a high sticking, which he cut Quentin Byfield. So that, of course, is the 4-minute variety of a penalty. And they killed the entire thing. And Samsonov made some huge saves. I thought Noah Hannafin had some key plays there. And look, LA scored a couple minutes after that penalty kill. It was kind of a fluky goal. It took a weird bounce, and I think it may have hit a player on the way to the net where there was an LA Kings player who was able to put it in. But I thought everything clicked last night. And what really stood out to me the most, aside from the play of Samsonov, it's the first time I can remember them playing LA and asking people after the game if Anze Kopitar was on the ice, because I didn't see him do anything last night. And he is a certified Golden Knights killer. He always has huge games against this team. Not last night. They did a really good job neutralizing him. And I thought all in all, it was a really good game. I thought it was the best game they've played all season. And that takes in mind the Colorado game that they won 8-4. But they just absolutely dominated the LA Kings, which traditionally is not a team that they take to the woodshed, but they did so last night.
I think that was the first time where there was complete and utter domination. Most of those games are 2-1, 1-0, 3-2, the occasional 4-2, something like that with a late goal. These teams, since the Golden Knights' inception 8 years ago, have always played tight games. Yesterday, it looked like men against boys. It really did. And I think I agree with you 100%. Samsonov was the best player on the ice. And that game to me is the blueprint for how they're going to win. The goalie's going to have to make a few key saves. On this night, he did. But the other thing that I want to really sort of I want to deem important. We saw for the first time since he got here, Happy Hertl, right? He wasn't healthy. He came back too soon last year. They might not say that. That's the truth. He wasn't 100%. Came to a new city. That's a very difficult thing. It was difficult for him. Noah Hannafin just had a big article, I think it was in The Athletic, talking about how much different this season is versus living in a hotel than a townhouse. This offseason, he got married, bought a house, fully integrated into the Summerlin community where a lot of the players, almost all the players live. But Happy Hertl, 4 points last night. When we got to talk to him in the post game, he literally looked like the 500-pound gorilla was finally just 100 pounds. It was gone. He was relaxed and loose. And yes, they all say the same thing. It's all about the team win. They all toe that line because they're well-trained media personalities. But the truth is that Tomas Hertl is the Hertl that they're going to pay $6 million and change for the next 5 or 6 years. Those were the two big takeaways. Yes, it was fantastic then that Alexander Holtz opened his Vegas Golden Knight account. Caden Korzak in his first game got a point. Mark Stone racked up 3. Jack Eichel continued his point streak. I think he's at 11 now after 7 games.
Yeah.
And third or fourth in the league in scoring behind Cale Makar. But that feels to me like it could have been a watershed game, right? That They adapted to a little bit of a newer defensive system. LA never really had any sustained pressure. A couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. But like you said, during that 6-minute penalty kill, they were ineffective. There's no other way to put it. The penalty kill shined. The power play, I think I'm about to say something that we've never said in the history of this podcast. The Vegas Golden Knights power play is clicking at over 30% right now. I don't want to jinx it, but right now that first power play unit is stomping mud holes in some people's asses, in the words of the great Stone Cold Steve Austin. But before we get to the talking about the homestand, the 4 games in a week homestand, let's get one quick word in from Dr. John Pierce at Ageless Forever.
So if there's a little bit too much whip in the shaft of your hockey stick and you want to be able to hit the back of the net, here's your answer, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I'm going to let my good friend Dr. Pierce tell you exactly what this bad boy is, and prepare to be amazed.
This is the Phoenix Pro. This is a home unit to deliver extracorporeal, I call it sound wave therapy. The technical term is shock wave therapy.
Here's where we get to the fun stuff, kids.
Hey, they applied it to their genitalia, and they found that yes, indeed, it improves blood flow. We talk about, male genitalia. What is an erection? It is a blood flow issue. So if you're having issues and you've gone to see your doctor, you've had your testosterone balanced, and you're doing those things, and it's working great. If you're finding that you're using a medication like Viagra, Cialis, something like that, and you're finding less and less effect, that means that the blood flow isn't as good. Something like this can help to mitigate that issue.
So let me break this down for you in layman's terms. If your junk is more like a pool noodle than a pool cue, it's going to make your junk hard. Dr. John Pierce, Ageless Forever, www.agelessforever.net. Don't be shy. Send a message. The first consultation is free. You'll meet with Dr. Pierce personally. You'll have the ability to share whatever it is you want to share. This bad boy works. So, something for you to think about. www.agelessforever.net. Send a message. Take advantage of the free consultation, and let's get you to be the best you can be.
So, Chap, let's talk about the homestand. 4 games, basically in a week. I think it's the only time the Golden Knights have it. We just went over the fact that they stomped the mud hole in the Kings. Next up is the Michael Amadio return tour on Friday afternoon. That's a 3 p.m. puck drop for Nevada Day. Everybody's supposed to wear white because the Golden Knights are wearing their road white jerseys. That's one of 2 times this year. But Ottawa, San Jose, and the Calgary Flames are the next 3 opponents for the Golden Knights. What's your take on the big picture of the homestand?
Well, I think Ottawa is a little bit better than people probably give them credit for. They've started really well. They kicked the shit out of Utah last night. They're going to be here for a couple days. I think that's a tough game. I think it's going to be a lot tougher than people think.
What about the Vegas flu? If they're here for a couple, you don't believe,
I don't believe that anymore. I think enough guys have been here enough times to really not be bothered by that. I mean, maybe really young teams, but I think Ottawa has enough veteran leadership. I mean, you look at a guy like Claude Giroux; he's not going to allow that
Right.
Vegas flu to infect the locker room there. Look, I now they do have a question at goalie because Linus Ullmark, I guess, is injured, so he may or may not be available for them on Friday. But the thing that I really think about with the homestand is you started to right the ship last night. You've got some winnable games. Obviously, San Jose on Saturday night, that's a team you look at and you're like, that should be 2 points. And then Calgary on Monday. Look, the Flames have started really well this season too. So I don't think that's a give me by any stretch. But I think if you win 3 of 4 on the homestand, you come away with 6 points, I think you're pretty happy. But ultimately, I think you should, this team, with the way it shakes up, they should be getting 7 at the very least. Look, if you come away with 4, then I think you start to question some things. But you may get William Karlsson back, which I think is huge. It sounds like he's trending to play at some point on the homestand. So he was no contact, or he was without the no contact jersey yesterday.
Full
So
participant.
full participant. It sounds like they're shooting for Friday or Saturday for him. So that's going to give you a boost. And I think it also gives Bruce Cassidy some flexibility in terms of what he does. My guess is they're not going to change anything on the first 2 lines, and William Karlsson will go in on the 3rd line. Cole Schwindt will come out. And I think you'll have Karlsson center a line with Brisson and Alexander Holtz.
I think I agree. I think 6, 7, 8 points is the absolute minimum. And yes, points are the most important thing. But I think there's actually something that is a little bit more important. This is the opportunity for Vegas to get right in their systems play. These are 4 opponents that are not monster forechecking teams. They're not incredibly deep lineups. They shouldn't really press the Golden Knights a ton defensively. So I look at this 4 games almost like the opportunity for the Vegas Golden Knights to workshop the new defensive system, to continue to get reps on the power play, and to sort of get to the identity of the team that Bruce wants them to be. We were talking in the press box last night that it might take them 20 or 30 games to sort of find out what their true identity is. This 4-game stretch, I think, could be really, really valuable in foundation laying, right? They changed their defensive system a little bit, so they get 4 live games, points on the line, winnable games where they can really hone in on attention to detail. Bruce talked a lot about pucks coming off the wall into the center of the ice, that they weren't defending well. They didn't defend well on the road trip. Here's the perfect opportunity to work on all the things that Bruce was frustrated by and what ailed them on the 3-game road trip live. Not only that, you get to do it in front of your home crowd, a raucous 18,000 people every night at the Fortress. So yes, 6, 7, 8 points are the absolute minimum. Anything less is going to require some, looking inside and saying, why aren't we really mollywomping, the teams that we're supposed to?
Well, let me ask you this, because we saw last night, Ilya Samsonov gets a start.
Right.
You've got 3 more games on this homestand.
Right.
Obviously, Friday and Saturday, you're not going to play the same goalie twice.
Bruce already said it's Adin Hill Friday, so it must be Samsonov Saturday.
And then do you go back to Adin on Monday, or do you go to Samsonov on Monday?
I think that they already know. In my humble opinion, as your podcast host, I think it depends on Adin Hill's performance on Friday. Because frankly, he has not been good. His save percentage is about .850. His goal against is, I think, in the low to mid 3s. And he has not made the saves that the system requires him to make. So listen, I don't want to start a goalie controversy. I'm not going to start a goalie controversy. But Samsonov is making a statement, and this is the time for Adin Hill to step up and say, that's cute, kid. I'm still the fucking number 1 goalie. And, Adin's had all shaky starts. And if he does not have a quality start on Friday, I don't see any reason that they don't go Samsonov Saturday. Is it Saturday, Monday, or Saturday, Tuesday?
Saturday, Monday.
Right. Yeah. I don't see any reason that they don't try and scoop up every point they can scoop up, especially now with Edmonton continuing to lose, but Colorado starting to get a little traction. I think they got to scoop every single point that they can, every opportunity. And yes, they said they have a rotation, and our friend Sean Burke I'm sure they do. But at some point, this is going to become hot goalie.
Well,
And
I think the way you look at it is, I don't think it's any hot take to say that Samsonov has been the better goalie.
no, it's not even a hot take at all.
Granted, he hasn't had as many starts as Aiden, but in those starts, he's been better. And what I like about this
Significantly
organization, and what I think is fair though, is they're going to give Aiden every opportunity to prove that he is the number one goalie. Like, they're not just going to throw him on the scrap heap and be like, hey, Henderson, we need a Kira Schmidt up here. Aiden Hill is not the guy. I don't think it's going to go down like that.
No.
He's going to be given every opportunity to correct whatever it is he needs to correct. This is an organization that won a Stanley Cup riding with Aiden Hill. And I think the organization likes him. Like, I think he's well-liked by us. I think he's well-liked by the fans. And I think the organization likes him. But that doesn't get you points. And while I don't think Aiden Hill has played bad, I think there have been nights where the team in front of him hasn't played up to their caliber. And maybe with the defensive adjustments, that changes. But I don't think Aiden Hill is going to just be thrown aside and they're going to say, Ilya, you're the number one goalie. I think they're going to maintain a rotation for as long as they possibly can before they actually have to make a decision as far as who's going to be their number one when it matters most. I mean, I think was someone asked last night about that, and it was kind of weird. I don't know who it was. I don't remember where I heard someone asking that question. Was it in the presser? Did someone actually ask Bruce about who the number one goalie was going to be going forward?
Well,
but
I have the answer to that question. And since we're actually tracking it at an incredibly rapid pace, before we get to the last topic, which is about the goaltending, let's get a quick word in from Marathon Law.
I'm here with Joe Riccio from Marathon Law Group, and if you've listened to this podcast or watched it on YouTube or wherever, you've heard me say many, many times that Joe is my lawyer. He's been my lawyer for a decade, and there's a reason. It's because he's really good at what he does. But Joe, if someone is unhappy with their lawyer, what kinds of steps can they take to maybe fix that situation?
Well, Chris, great question. Definitely seek a second opinion by someone who's experienced in that area of law. Here at Marathon Law Group, we, as you know, do personal injury and family law matters. Been doing them for close to 17 years on the family law side, 10 years on the personal injury side, and we will offer a free second opinion or consultation to anyone that mentions the podcast if they're unhappy with their lawyer, and give them a second opinion.
And what are some of the common complaints that you hear when people come in for those second opinions?
Believe it or not, the most common complaint we get is not that I didn't get enough money or not that I didn't get enough time with my children. The most common complaint we get is they didn't hear from their lawyer, or they don't know what's going on in their case, or they don't know why the lawyer did something that they did in their case. And so one of the things I can tell you with us is communication is a big deal for our law firm. For me personally, it's the most common complaint lawyers get at the state bar for not communicating with our clients. Here at Marathon, we make a strong effort to get back to our clients the same day or within 24 hours to educate them, like we did with you in your case, along the way, so you know what's going on in the process, why you're doing it, and you know what the expectation should be.
So what you're referencing was in practice yesterday, I think Jesse Granger of The Athletic asked Bruce about the goaltending rotation, and did they change it because of Aiden's less than average play? Bruce's response indicated that he was trying to get Aiden Hill some more starts in front of the Team Canada people for the Four Nations tournament that's coming up in February. And that now that, apparently the representatives from Team Canada were going to be at a couple of the games, and they broke what their planned rotation was in order to get some live eyes on Aiden by the decision makers for Team Canada.
We know that Jim Nill was in attendance for a couple of games. Doug Armstrong Those guys both heavily involved with Team Canada. John Cooper is the coach of Team Canada. So I think that would make sense. Like
Well, I think it makes sense on the surface. However, I don't think they liked what they got an eyeful of.
no, probably not. I think
I
that's
think
probably fair.
so. My question to you is this, and I want to answer it first, just because I don't want you to jump on the thought process right away. Bruce has been here for 100 games. I think that you and I would agree that he is, by leaps and bounds and miles, the most open and honest assessor and answerer of questions that we've ever seen here in Vegas. You'd agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a coach who's answered questions the way he does.
Okay. And we believe that he's been truthful 100% of the time down the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Praises when praise is due.
I can't
Critical.
recall a situation where I've said, I think Bruce is bullshitting us.
So let me ask you this question. Do you buy the Team Canada answer for the reason that Aiden Hill got his start sort of stacked together and then they switched off of Samsonov? Or, in my opinion, I'm going to give Bruce the benefit of the doubt because he has zero track record of fibbing to us. But so the question is, do you believe that they changed the goalie rotation to get Aiden Hill eyes on Team Canada, and that's why it played out the way it is? Or do you think that making the switch to Samsonov was a reaction to Aiden Hill's not stellar play yet this season?
Well, I think
it's a whopper, huh?
Yeah, but I think, like I said, I'm going to go back to the fact that I don't think Aiden has played that bad. Like, I know the numbers are what they are, but some of those goals, like there was a bit of a fluky goal in Washington. Obviously, we talked about the goal in Tampa that went in. So I don't think Aiden has been bad. So I don't necessarily think that there was a situation where his play dictated what they did last night. I think what's more likely, and again, it's impossible for you and I to get in the mind of Kelly McCrimmon or Bruce Cassidy, but I am of the opinion that Aiden Hill has not proven that he can carry a full load health-wise. And so when they brought in Samsonov, they brought in a guy who can fill in when they need Aiden Hill to take a rest, right? We're not talking about a young guy who's still kind of learning like Logan Thompson was. We're not talking about a guy who was dealing with health issues the way Robin Leonard was. I think Ilya Samsonov was what they wanted when they signed Laurent Brossoit, who was a guy that they envisioned as being a backup, but a guy who is good enough to be a starter, not full-time,
if
but
required.
If they need him to fill in. And so I think that it's a combination of, yes, they wanted to get Aiden some reps in front of important people for the Four Nations face-off, but it's also they need to manage his load because he hasn't gone through a season here where he hasn't spent time on the injured list. So it's about managing his play and getting him the reps in front of the people that he needs. So I think it's a combination of both, but I don't think his play dictated because and I will stand by it. I don't think he's played bad.
I think that the criteria for good and bad in Vegas Golden Knight goaltenders is a little different. Yes, the numbers are bad. Yes, the team has not played well in front of them. But I look at soft goals and I look at, did he make the save. Like we were talking about Samsonov last night, making the save to bail him out when they had a little bit of a breakdown. And at this moment, and I don't expect it to last at all, Aiden Hill has not made the save that kept him in a game. He's let in a soft goal in each of his starts, and he hasn't come close to stealing a game when the Golden Knights probably weren't the better team. So I'm a little more critical, I think, of the goalie situation, and I suspect if our good friend Lindsey Brown, who's probably up to her ass in snow in Minnesota right now, were to have her little goalie segment on the podcast, I suspect if we asked her whose side she was on in the argument, I suspect her being the technical goalie guru-s. That's what a female version of a guru is, right? A guru-s.
I guess, yeah. Sounds good.
I think Lindsay would be more inclined to say that his play is not up to snuff. So this is a world.
Maybe to his standards, maybe
Yes.
not. But
Yeah.
I think in
and
general,
to Bruce's standards.
like I don't look at a game that they've played and say Aiden Hill cost them the game. Like
No,
I
agree.
And so to me, that is the barometer of like I guess that's kind of a thing. There aren't too many games, especially since Bruce Cassidy's taken over, where you're like, goalie really sucked tonight. Like they would have won that game if he wasn't so bad.
But what about the other side? There also aren't that many games that he's required to steal a game.
Well, that's it, right? Like that's the system that they play.
Right.
The system they play is you go over the boards, you make plays.
Yeah.
You prevent the goalie from having to steal games for us because we think our structure and our game, we think it's good enough to where we should win every night, regardless of whether the goalie steals the game or not. Now, that's not to say that the goalie shouldn't have games where he makes. I mean, Samsonov had that game against Florida. Yeah, they gave up 4 goals, but he had 45 saves. I don't know what else you expect him to do in that situation. So I think I like I said, I don't particularly think Aiden's play has been bad. Maybe not up to his standards, but I don't know goalies. I don't get to talk. I don't talk to goalies a lot. I don't know what goes on in their head. But my guess is there's goalies, and I can't imagine that there's many who aren't like this, but they probably think they should get a shutout every single night. Like I think there's goalies, and I think they all probably think they should save every shot that comes their way.
I think that's the mentality that they have to have.
You're not a competitor if you don't think that way. So I think every goalie sets really high standards for them. Whether it's Marc-Andre Fleury, whether it's Cam Talbot, whether it's Shesterkin, whether it's Christian Jarry, Aiden Hill, it doesn't matter. Every goalie has the mindset that they should get a shutout every night they take the ice. Reality dictates that's not the case. So I'm sure Aiden Hill goes back and watches the video and he sits with the goalie coach and he says, oh yeah, maybe on this, if I would have done this, I'd take that angle or whatever. I mean, but that's what you do. You're always trying to get better. So it's a really interesting conversation. I guess we'll just have to see. We should know the answer to this question on Monday, because I think if Aiden Hill goes out and has a great game against Ottawa,
he gets Monday for sure.
He gets
100%. 100%.
He gets the benefit of the doubt, and he's earned that. He's earned that right to have the benefit of the doubt.
This is a world record. We are done with the episode in under 40 minutes. But instead of just saying goodbye, we're going to have Mr. Chapman plug the golden giveaway. I'll do some plugs. We'll ask you to subscribe, and then we'll get out of here. So, Chap, let's wrap up episode 84, the Golden Teeter Totter.
All right, so golden giveaway courtesy of Marathon Law Group, Joe Riccio. He's my lawyer. He should be your lawyer. But we are giving away tickets for the Golden Knights and the Carolina Hurricanes, November the 11th at the Fortress. You're going to get free parking at the Park MGM garage, which is where you and I park. So it's right across the street from T-Mobile. It's easy to get into the building from there. It's easy to get out. You and I, we go through there every day. We park, we leave. So you'll be like us. You'll be the big baller media guys parking in the Park MGM for free. And then you're going to get dinner. And look, it's I don't know. The thing that kind of separates this, look, I'm sure there's podcasts where they give stuff away. Nobody's giving away what we're giving away. And it's a big thanks to Joe and Boris over at Marathon Law Group. You can reach them at 702-522, which is easy to remember because it's my birthday. 702-522-1808 is the number to Marathon Law Group. They handle everything from DUIs to accidents, family law, which is really where he got his start, how I met him. And give those guys a call if you have any legal issues.
So how do you win the tickets? You have to like this podcast. You have to subscribe to our podcast. If you're watching it, there's a subscribe button popping up all.
Yeah, don't be lazy.
Yeah, like it, subscribe to it. Don't
Comment.
like it on the Facebook post. Don't like it on Instagram. Like it here, subscribe here, put a comment in the comments. Chris and I answer all the comments, good, bad, indifferent. Like, subscribe, comment. Those three things. The episode before the game on November 11th against Carolina, we'll put one of those computerized randomizer gizmo things up. We'll spin the magic wheel, and one of you is going to get a prize package worth every bit of $500.
Easily.
So
easily.
It's a great opportunity. We really do appreciate all the listeners and all the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell us what you think of how we're doing. Again, we really appreciate it. Also, we really appreciate the Las Vegas Advisor, www.lasvegasadvisor.com, your home for everything Las Vegas. They're kind enough to put us up on their website, which has been active for 30 years, and where tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people every year go for their Las Vegas information. You can find the Hockey Nights in Vegas podcast there as well. And by my good friend, Dr. John Pierce at agelessforever.net, 702-838-1994. Dr. Pierce has been my friend for over 30 years. He is responsible for the fact that on January the 1st, I weighed 340 pounds. On September 1st of this year, I weighed 240 pounds. And today I weigh about 231 pounds. You can do it. I'm the worst patient ever. We can get Dr. Pierce on here to prove that to you and back up that claim. But the fact of the matter is I've lost over 100 pounds, and it's with his guidance and his incredible nutritionist Amanda's guidance. I'm almost healthy. And I never in a million years thought I would be able to say that I'm almost healthy and I'm getting healthier. So you get a free consultation if you just pick up the phone, dial 702-838-1994, right? The first consultation is absolutely free. If there's something that ails you and you don't want to talk about traditional doctors and all that other stuff, this is wellness. This is something that you do for yourself. Step up to the plate, look at yourself in the mirror, say, I need the little tune-up, and call my good friend Dr. Pierce at agelessforever.net. That's it. We're done. Unbelievable. 2 days off for the Golden Knights. Next face-off, 3 p.m. Pacific time. Wear white. The Golden Knights are wearing their road sweaters. It's Frost the Fortress, or I don't know it's something like that. Anyway, Wear white. The Ottawa Senators are town. Shed a tear for Michael Amadio, the newest Ottawa Center. Chris and I will be back with you next week, and we are out of here.